Exploring moons of Jupiter. A planet made from the cloud that formed the moment the sun was born. A gas giant that contains more than twice the material of all the other planets in our solar system combined. Planet Jupiter, the majestic king of the Roman gods. This god of the sky, Jupiter, shows off its full glory. With its 79 moons which orbits the giant planet. Out of 79 moons, 53 of them are named and others are awaiting official names. These moons are separated into 3 groups. Inner moons, Galilean moons, and outer moons or irregular satellites. Let's explore these moons, so we can able to understand the grand planet Jupiter in its full glory. Group 1, Inner Moons. Inner Moons orbits the closest to Jupiter, and are sometimes called the Amalthea group. The names of the inner moons of Jupiter are Metis, Adrastea, Amalthea, and Thebe. These moons, they orbit very close to Jupiter. Inner moons, along with several seen and as yet unseen inner moonlets, replenish and maintain Jupiter's faint ring system. Metis and Adrastea help to maintain Jupiter's main ring, whereas Amalthea and Thebe each maintain their faint outer rings. Metis. Metis discovered by Stephen Sinnott through images taken by the Voyager 1 in 1979. It is named after the Greek Titaness Metis, who was the first wife of the god of the skies, Zeus. It is thought that Metis is an asteroid that was captured by Jupiter's gravity. Metis is the closest moon to Jupiter. The moon orbits at 128,000 kilometers or 79,500 miles from Jupiter. It has a diameter of 40 kilometers or 25 miles. And it orbits Jupiter in 0.29 Earth days, which is faster than Jupiter rotates on its axis. Adrastea? Adrastea is the second closest moon to Jupiter. Adrastea was discovered by David C. Jewett and G. Edward Danielson in Voyager 2 probe photographs, taken on July 8, 1979. It was named for the Greek goddess Adrastea, who passed out rewards and punishments. Adrastea has a diameter of 20 kilometers or 12 miles and orbits 129,000 kilometers or 80,000 miles from Jupiter. Adrastea orbits Jupiter faster than it takes for Jupiter to rotate on its axis, in 0.29 Earth days. Amalthea? Amalthea is the third moon from Jupiter, and it's the reddest object in the solar system. Amalthea was discovered by Edward Emerson Barnard in 1892. It orbits 181,300 kilometers or 112,700 miles from Jupiter. Amalthea is located in the faint Gossamer Ring. Like all the inner moons, it is tidally locked to the planet. The same side of the moon always faces Jupiter. It is the largest of the inner moons of Jupiter and is most likely an asteroid captured by Jupiter. It takes Amalthea half Earth day to orbit Jupiter. Amalthea also gives off more heat than it receives from the Sun. Observations suggest that at least the largest member, Amalthea, did not form on its present orbit, but farther from the planet, or that it is a captured solar system body. Thebe. The fourth moon from Jupiter is Thebe. Thebe was discovered by Stephen P. Sinnott in 1979 and officially named in 1983. Thebe takes 0.68 Earth day to orbit Jupiter. It has a diameter of 110 by 90 kilometers and it orbits 222,000 kilometers or 138,000 miles from Jupiter. It is likely that Thebe, along with Amalthea, provides the dust for the Gossamer Ring, where they are located. The inner moons are in a 1:2:4 orbital resonance. Models suggest that they formed by slow accretion in the low-density Jovian subnebula, a disk of the gas and dust that existed around Jupiter. Group 2, Galilean Moons. The planet Jupiter's four largest moons in our solar system are called the Galilean Moons. It's named after Italian astronomer Galileo Galilei, who first observed them in 1610. The German astronomer Simon Marius claimed to have seen the moons around the same time, but he did not publish his observations, and so Galileo is given the credit for their discovery. When Galileo made improvements to his telescope, which enabled him to observe celestial bodies more distinctly than ever, Galileo's observations showed the importance of the telescope as a tool for astronomers by proving that there were objects in space that cannot be seen by the naked eye. The discovery of celestial bodies orbiting something other than Earth dealt a serious blow to the Ptolemaic world system, which was accepted back then. It is a geocentric theory in which everything orbits around Earth. Galilean moons were named Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. They are each distinctive worlds. These moons are some of the largest objects in our solar system outside the Sun, and the 8 planets in terms of mass. Galilean Moons formation was lasted up to 10 million years. Io? Io is the fifth moon of Jupiter and the fourth largest moon in the solar system. It is the innermost of the Galilean moons that orbits Jupiter. Io is around 422,000 kilometers or 220,000 miles from Jupiter. It takes Io 1.77 Earth days to orbit Jupiter. Io has a diameter of 3,636 kilometers or 1,942 miles, which is very close in size to our moon. With over 400 active volcanoes, Io is the most geologically active object in the solar system. Io is a large, rocky, and volcanically active moon that is very vivid with bright colors due to the molten sulfur that the volcanoes spit out. The result is a level of radiation on Io that is 1,000 times stronger than the level needed to kill a human being. These violent conditions mean that it is not the kind of world that would be able to sustain human life. Io plays a significant role in shaping Jupiter's magnetic field. It acts as an electric generator that can develop 400,000 volts across itself and create an electric current of 3 million amperes. It releases ions that give Jupiter a magnetic field inflated to more than twice the size it would have otherwise. Europa? Europa is the sixth closest moon of Jupiter, and is the smallest of the Galilean moons among four. Europa is a large, dense, and icy moon of Jupiter, which is slightly smaller than our Earth's moon. Europa is primarily made of silicate rock, and has a water ice crust and probably an iron nickel core. Europa has a very thin atmosphere, composed primarily of oxygen. Europa has a diameter of less than 3,138 kilometers or 2,000 miles, which makes it smaller than the Earth's moon. Europa orbits Jupiter in 3.5 days, sits at a mean distance of 670,900 kilometers or 420,000 miles from Jupiter. Europa's surface is striated by cracks and streaks, but craters are relatively few. Europa has the smoothest surface of any known solid object in the solar system. Scientific theory suggests that Europa contains a large liquid water ocean heated by its core beneath the frozen icy shell, making it a world that may be able to sustain extraterrestrial life. Ganymede? Ganymede is the seventh moon of Jupiter and the third of the Galilean Moons. It is the largest moon in the solar system, and is larger than the planet Mercury, and dwarf planet Pluto. Ganymede is only slightly smaller than Mars, and if it were orbiting the Sun rather than Jupiter, it would be classified as a planet itself. Ganymede is a large, icy moon with a diameter of around 5,268 kilometers or 3,400 miles that is scarred with craters. It takes the Moon 7.15 Earth days to orbit Jupiter. Ganymede is the only moon in the solar system known to have its own magnetic field. Ganymede orbits Jupiter at a distance of around 1,070,000 kilometers or 664,000 miles. Ganymede is composed of approximately equal amounts of silicate rock and water. It is a fully differentiated body with an iron-rich, liquid core. Research indicates that Ganymede has an internal ocean that may contain more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. Callisto. Callisto is the eighth moon of Jupiter and the second largest of the planet Jupiter's moons. Callisto also the third largest moon in the solar system, and it's similar in size to the planet Mercury. Callisto is a large, dark but low-density moon that is covered with impact craters. There are more craters on Callisto than any other object in the solar system. It is home to the Valhalla crater, which is nearly 4,000 kilometers in diameter, and the largest crater in the solar system. Callisto is the outermost of the Galilean Moons, orbiting 1,883,000 kilometers, or 1,170,000 miles, from Jupiter. It takes Callisto 16.7 days to complete its orbit around Jupiter, and during that time it will have traveled more than 7 million miles. Callisto is made of around 60% rock and iron, and 40% ice, which may contain liquid water. During its final approach to Jupiter, NASA's Juno spacecraft captured a unique time-lapse movie of the Galilean satellites in motion about the planet. The images were taken 5 days before arrival and end when the spacecraft was 3 million miles distant. There are also plans for future missions to focus on the Jovian moons of Jupiter, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, and their possible subsurface oceans exploration. We will explore more of each Galilean moon in their separate videos. Group 3, Outer Moons or Irregular Satellites. The outer moons are known as irregular satellites because of their eccentric and distant orbit paths. They are the furthest from Jupiter and are substantially smaller objects. Many of these moons are captured asteroids pulled in by the gravitational forces of Jupiter. Outer moons form families with other moons and asteroids that share similarities in orbit and composition. It is believed that these are at least partially collisional families that were created when parent bodies were shattered by impacts from asteroids captured by Jupiter's gravitational field. These families bear the names of their largest members. Most of these families are called Themisto, the Himalia group, Carpo, Volitudo, the Carme group, the Ananke group, and the Pasiphae group. Let's look at some of the major outer moons from these families. Leda. Leda is the 9th moon from Jupiter and is also the smallest moon with a mean diameter of 16 kilometers or 9.9 miles. Charles Koval discovered Leda in 1974. It is named for the Queen of Sparta. It takes 239 Earth days for Leda to orbit Jupiter, and it orbits at a distance of 11,094,000 kilometers or 6,900,000 miles from the planet. Himalia. Jupiter's 10th moon is Himalia, discovered by Charles Perrine in 1904. Himalia is 170 kilometers or 110 miles in diameter and orbits 11,480,000 kilometers or 7 million miles from Jupiter. It takes Himalia 250 days to orbit Jupiter. Lysithea. The 11th moon from Jupiter's surface is Lysithea, a world that is 24 kilometers or 15 miles in diameter and orbits at around 11,720,000 kilometers or 7,200,000 miles from Jupiter. Lysithea is named after the daughter of Oceanus in Greek mythology. It takes Lysithea 259 Earth days to orbit Jupiter. Lysithea was discovered in 1938 by Seth Nicholson. Elara. Jupiter's 12th moon Elara was discovered in 1905 by Charles Perrin. It is named after Elara from Greek mythology, the mother of the giant Tityus, fathered by Zeus. It has a diameter of 80 kilometers or 50 miles and orbits Jupiter at a distance of 11,737,000 kilometers or 7,250,000 miles. Elara takes almost 260 Earth days to orbit Jupiter. Ananke. It is named after Ananke, the mother of Adrastea by Zeus, in Greek mythology. Ananke, Jupiter's 13th moon, was discovered in 1951 by Seth Nicholson. Ananke has a diameter of 20 kilometers or 12.5 miles and orbits 21,200,000 kilometers or 13,100,000 miles from Jupiter. Ananke takes 631 Earth days to orbit Jupiter. The Moon is also in a retrograde orbit, which means it orbits in the opposite direction of Jupiter. Carme. Discovered in 1938 by Charles Nicholson, Carme is the 14th moon of Jupiter. In Greek mythology, Carme was the mother of Metis, a Cretan goddess, fathered by Zeus. It has a diameter of 30 kilometers or 18.5 miles and orbits at a distance of 22,600,000 kilometers or 13,800,000 miles from Jupiter. Carme orbits Jupiter in 692 Earth days. It is in a retrograde orbit which moves in the opposite direction of Jupiter. Pasiphae. In Greek mythology, Pasiphae was the wife of Minos and mother of the Minotaur. Pasiphae is the 15th moon of Jupiter and was discovered by P. Mellett in 1908. It takes Pasiphae 735 Earth days to orbit Jupiter in a retrograde orbit path. It orbits Jupiter at a distance of 23,500,000 kilometers or 14,600,000 miles and has a diameter of 36 kilometers or 22 miles. Sinope. Jupiter's 16th moon is Sinope, discovered in 1914 by Seth Nicholson. Sinope has a diameter of 28 kilometers or 17.5 miles and it orbits Jupiter at a distance of 23,700,000 kilometers or 14,700,000 miles. Sinope orbits Jupiter in a retrograde orbit that takes 758 Earth days. Callirrhoe. Jupiter's 17th confirmed moon was Callirrhoe, also known as S/1999J1, and was discovered by Tim Spa on July 18, 2000. It has a diameter of 8.6 kilometers or 5.3 miles and orbits Jupiter at a distance of 24,100,000 kilometers or 14,975,000 miles. Callirrhoe orbits Jupiter in a retrograde orbit that takes 759 Earth days to complete. In Greek mythology, Callirrhoe was the daughter of the river god Achelous. In September 2020, researchers from the University of British Columbia identified 45 candidate moons. They analyze archival images taken in 2010 by the Canada-France-Hawaii telescope. These candidates were mainly small and faint, although the team considers their characterized candidates to be likely moons of Jupiter. They all remain unconfirmed due to their insufficient observation data for determining reliable orbits for each of them. There are still lots of discovery needs to be done. We will gain more knowledge about what is humans' role in our solar system through exploration of space. So keep learning. Don't forget to share and subscribe for future videos. And click on the bell icon to get the notification about new video uploads. Thanks for watching.